Numbers on unemployment claims were released today, showing millions more Americans out of work. 3.8 million people filed for unemployment last week. More than 30 million people have filed claims since mid-March. That's more than 1 in 6 American workers. Oregon received more than 28,000 new claims last week. This brings the total to more than 362,000 claims since mid-March. And new numbers from Oregon's employment department indicate that the 2 counties with the highest rates of unemployment from COVID-19 are on the coast. Our Fox 12's AUDREY WEIL shows us why that is.
It's a beautiful evening here in Cannon Beach, but it is eerily quiet. There's a ban on visitors right now, and many places are closed. Now we're learning that these counties with large tourism, accommodation, and food service industries are seeing the highest percentages in unemployment claims. This group of locals is enjoying the peace and quiet from a social distance. But they also know the silent streets and nearly empty beach come at a cost.
And I'm concerned about the businesses and how they'll be able to reopen.
Anita Duber has lived in Cannon Beach and worked in the service industry for 30 years. That is until, like so many other businesses, the restaurant she worked at closed in March.
So I've been unemployed and was fortunate enough to be able to collect unemployment benefits.
In looking at new data from Oregon's employment department, she represents the 1 in 3 workers in accommodation and food services without a job. That's the industry with the most unemployment insurance claims processed in the first 6 weeks of this crisis.
When you put these industries together, it translates really well into figuring out what communities are getting hit the hardest.
Damon Runberg is the economist behind the numbers. He says overall, Multnomah and Washington counties have the most initial unemployment claims, but that doesn't mean they're seeing the biggest impact. Figuring that out requires some math.
We're taking the total number of unemployment insurance claims filed during this crisis as a share of the total labor force, and that's where we're seeing these really big numbers from places like Lincoln and Clatsop County on the coast.
In those 2 counties, about 17% of the labor force filed for unemployment. And while Runberg says tourism and hospitality will take a long time to recover, there is a silver lining for these coastal communities once things start to reopen.
We saw this sort of during the Great Recession as well, as these regional tourism destinations recovered much quicker than some of these more expensive flight destinations. People aren't going to feel safe going on airplanes or going to big cities. They'll feel more comfortable going to Lincoln City on the coast or going to Bend in Central Oregon than they will going to New York City.
Runberg also pointed out when it comes to this unemployment data, some of the most vulnerable Oregonians are being impacted most significantly. Those with lower levels of pay to begin with, lower levels of education, and a large share of workers in their mid-20s to mid-30s. In Cannon Beach, AUDREY WEIL, Fox 12 Oregon.